Okay, good morning everybody, and Hazak Baruch. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Sunday morning as we are studying together a new Perashah. Shavua Tov everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us. This week's Perashah we are studying is Perashat Vayetze. Vayetze Yaakov mi Be'er Shava. And Yaakov leaves Be'er Shava. Where is he going? He's leaving Be'er Shava and he's going Haran. He's going to Haran. Why is he going to Haran, by the way? Why is he going to Haran? Anyone know? Why is he leaving? He's leaving because his parents told him to leave. Okay? His parents sent him off and to go get married. Okay? Let's just remember a little bit. Yaakov took the blessings from Esav. Okay, so Esav's not a happy camper. Esav actually had to show a lot of restraint in using the language of some of our politicians today to the country of Israel when they're getting bombed with rockets. Show restraint. Well, Esav showed restraint, and he didn't kill Yaakov. He would have. But you know what? You know why he didn't? Big lesson. He had such hakarat, such kibur avayim, so much respect for his father. He knew that if he killed Yaakov, it would hurt his father. So this man who had no problem killing his brother, he held it in because he didn't want to hurt his father's feelings. He waited and he held it until his father would die. So Rivka knows she's got to send Yaakov away. So she sends him. Vayetze Yaakov, and that is the name of our parasha, Vayetze, and he left. And I want to share with you something that I think is very beautiful, connecting it actually a little bit to the end of last week's parasha. Just to go a little bit through the parasha of Toledot that we just finished, and we'll see where we're going with this. But the story is, we know Rivka gets pregnant and she feels kicking, and Esav's kicking to go to Avodah Zarah, and Yaakov is kicking to go to the Bet Midrash. And we ask a question. It sounds like they didn't have free will. It sounds like from the beginning Esav was predestined to be bad, Yaakov was predestined to be good. And what the question is, that is not fair. What happened to free will? Okay. Anyways, Esav comes out and he's shalom, he's complete. He's Esav, he's Asui. Esav is great. Yaakov comes out and he's different league. He's holding on to his heel. He's very small compared to Esav. Okay. Rashi says that when she was feeling the kicking, she went to a rabbi to ask him what's going on. What is the kid, good or bad? Is he going to the shul or is he going to the church? Which one is he? What's he doing? So he said he actually have two kids inside, and what are going to become two great nations. And Rashi over here really doesn't have to say anything. It's very simple. Two great nations is two great nations. What does Rashi say? Rashi comes and adds Antoninus and Rabbi, the great grandson of Yaakov, Rabbi, and the great grandson of Esav, Antoninus. That's what the rabbi meant when he said two great nations. A great rabbi of Rabbi and a great goy of Antoninus. And again, the question is, why did Rashi have to do this? Why was it not enough to just leave it simple? Yaakov and Esav. These are the two great empires. These are the two great nations. Why do you have to go to 1,000, 2,000 years later? Okay. Then Yitzchak wants to bless, many years later, he wants to bless his son Esav. So he calls him in. He says, go ahead and get for me some food so I can bless you. And Rivka overhears this, and she tells her son Yaakov, quickly, go in and get get for me a couple of goats so that I can prepare it for your father, so that you can get the blessings, not your brother Esav. And the question again is, first of all, it's a little bit dishonest, I think, of Rivka to do this. No? These are obvious questions, and really the brachot are all physical in nature. The brachot are nothing special. If you look at them, they're not brachot Avraham, they're not the father of the Jewish people, it's just money, and money, and money, and money. So why does she care that Esav should get these blessings? Okay, let Esav get it. What do you care? You got to sabotage and make sure that Yaakov gets it. Do you really care for Yaakov to have money? If anyways, Yaakov is the rabbi, he's the learner. What does it matter? Keep the blessings with Esav. These are not the blessings. And then Yaakov goes in and says, I am Esav, Anochi Esav, Bechorecha. Whoa. It's very dishonest. You're not Esav. And the biggest question on the story, if you ask me, it doesn't make sense, but here's the question. Yitzchak is blind. So, guy walks in, and he has a voice of Yaakov. So you say, all right, come here, let me feel you. You feel him up, and he's Esav. He sounds like Yaakov, he feels like Esav. Hakol kol Yaakov, v'hayadayim yedei Esav. The voice is the voice of Jacob, the hands are the hands of Esav. Okay, so what does Yitzchak do? What does he do? He says, all right, I guess, here you go. And he blesses him. Why are you blessing him? If you're in doubt, we have a rule. When you're in doubt, figure it out. If you don't know, go ask. You're blind. You're not sure who this guy is. He sounds like Yaakov, but he feels like Esav. You're looking for Esav. So what should you do if you're Yitzchak Avinu? You don't got to be a rocket scientist. Call in your wife. Ask Rivka, hey honey, who is this guy here? A little bit fishy. Instead, what does Yitzchak do? All right, blesses him anyways. And he gives him the blessings that were supposed to go to Esav. How could you do that? Why are you doing that? If you don't know, figure it out. It's great questions. And really there's a lot of more questions that we're going to answer as we go along. But the theme over here, the idea is that in life, there are two types of people. In life, there are the dreamers, people with the ideas, the visionaries, the ones that can think, the ones that can philosophize. But then there are the doers. Those are the people that go out there. Those are the ones that change the world. And really, you need both. In a business, you need partnerships, right? You need a guy who's going to be the brains, but then you need the salesman. You need the guy that's going to go and do. You can't have just one. And that's what smart people do. Smart people know how to bring into the business someone that's not like them, that's going to be the other type. In a marriage, you need both. A husband and wife cannot be the same. They should not be the same. It'd be very dangerous if they're the same. You need both to balance out. You need the Ezer Kenegdo, the Pasuk says. You need a helpmate that's going to be opposite him. That's what a wife's job is. To be different than her husband. To show him that other perspective. And if you look at our patriarchs and matriarchs, they were opposites. Avraham was Chesed. Sarah was Din. Avraham was kindness. Sarah was this tough one. She's the one that said, get Ishmael out of here. Yitzchak was like his mother, Din. So what does Eliezer do when looking for a wife for Yitzchak? What's the test that he performs? I need a lady that's going to have chesed like Avraham. Always balancing out. Yeah? And in Judaism, we have this partnership of Yisachar and Zevulun. Yisachar is the rabbi, the scholar, the one who's learning, the one who's thinking, the saint, the Kohen, the learner, the one in the Beit HaMikdash. And Zevulun is the outgoing one, the one who's going to go out into the world and interact with the people and the politician and the rabbi and the businessman and the warrior. The businessman, you need both. You need Issachar and you need Zevulun. You can't have just one. So as an example, Avraham was the outgoing one. Avraham was the one that changed the world. He's the one that invited people into his house. Yitzchak was not. Yitzchak was, like we said, he was the guy, Kohen. Matter of fact, Yitzchak Avinu, we know, the Torah, God says in the beginning of last week's Parashat Toledot, God says to Yitzchak, I'm going to bless you. You know why I'm going to bless you? Because of your father. Because your father was a great man. This is like such an insult, no? Imagine you tell Yitzchak, by the way, I'm going to give you a lot of blessings. Yitzchak, you can imagine, wow, psh, Hashem is proud of me. And then he adds, yeah, because your father was a great man. It's like, oh gosh, thanks for nothing. What about me? Says the Seforno, Yitzchak didn't deserve blessings in his own right because he was introverted. He didn't go out, he didn't do outreach, he stayed to himself. Unlike his father Avraham. Avraham is who represents chesed, gemilut chasadim, doing acts for the world. Yitzchak was the priest, the saint. He was on the Mizbeach. He was like a korban. He never leaves Israel. He's not allowed to have a shivcha, a maidservant. He doesn't marry a second wife like Avraham or his son Yaakov. Right? He's the Kodesh. He's holy. He's if you have a question, if you have problems, come to me. Come to the Beit HaMikdash. But he's not going to go out there and change the world. And Yitzchak knows that he has two sons and each one's different. He has an Esav and he has a Yaakov. And in Yaakov he sees himself. He sees the strengths of the saint, of the learner, of the rabbi. But in Esav he sees the strengths of power of Avraham. Who do you pick to be the spokesman of the Jewish people, to represent your nation, to teach Torah to the world? Who are you going to pick, Yaakov or Esav? You pick Esav. Esavs are the ones that change the world. And he knows that my son Esav needs, in order to succeed, he needs money. He needs power. So he blesses him. And that's what he wants to give him. He wants to give him dew. And he wants to give him fats of the world. He sees in his son Esav and Avraham. He sees someone who's aggressive. He saw in Yaakov the goody two-shoes, the one that's going to be there learning. He's not going to change the world. You don't give the blessings to Yaakov. He's not your representative. The ones that make a difference out there, at least, are the Esavs. And really, that's the kochot that Esav had. Esav had the potential to be like Avraham. He had the potential to be that great patriarch. Matter of fact, we were supposed to have 4 patriarchs, 4 matriarchs, 4 avot, 4 imahot. I don't know what they would do in the song, Shlosha mi yodeya. Who knows 3? I know 3, right? I don't know what they would do. I don't know. You wouldn't have 3 fathers. You would have 4. You would have to figure something else out, The 3 stooges. I don't know, whatever you're going to do, but but that's not the point. Let Uncle Moshe figure it out. But the point is that there was supposed to be 4 avot. You were supposed to have 4 Avraham, Yitzchak, Esav, Yaakov. And Esav was going to be the one who changes everybody. Esav was going to be the one who goes out there. Zevulun. It's a partnership. Yaakov is in the tent. Esav's out there. You need both. And by the way, we've had times in history that we had this perfect partnership between the two. So as an example, Antoninus and Rabbi. Rabbi was the rabbi, and Antoninus, who was the Roman general, he would come every day through a tunnel, learn Torah with Rabbi. He was the one that was out there changing the world. Matter of fact, who were the ones that got rid of Avodah Zarah? Who got rid of polytheism, paganism? It was Romans. It was Constantine. The Roman Empire. It was Esav. It's supposed to be Esav that gets rid of Avodah Zarah, not Yaakov. It's supposed to be Esav. Esav's supposed to be that guy that goes out there. But what happened was Esav let his power get to him. And he ended up not being able to step up and be that great leader that he was supposed to be. Yitzchak wasn't sure of that though. Yitzchak sees in Esav all the qualities, good qualities. He didn't know that he ended up corrupting his thoughts. He thought Esav was still great in his own right. Matter of fact, what does it say? that when they would walk by the shul, Yaakov would kick, and they would walk by Avodah Zarah, Esav would kick. We usually understand that to mean that Esav was kicking to go do it. Who said? It doesn't say that. It says he was kicking. Maybe that means he was kicking to go and fight it. Because that Esav had it in him. Esav was the one that's going to get rid of Avodah Zarah. That's what it means he was going to go kick. When it says that he came out with blood, he came out red. He was born under the zodiac of Mars, whatever that means. He had traits of murder, but for a good type. He was supposed to kill all the evildoers. Yaakov ain't going to do that. Yaakov don't know how to hold a gun. Yaakov holds a Gemara. But you need the warriors. You need the fighters. Esav's the fighter. Esav's the one that's going to go out and fight and kill. That's what it means that he came out red. He has blood on his hands. Like who? David HaMelech. David HaMelech was red. It's not bad if you're going to kill. Who are you going to kill? Unfortunately, Esav failed in that he used his midot for the wrong things. But the potential was to be great. The potential was to be a great figure in history that's going to work side by side with Yaakov and change the world. Yaakov doesn't have it in him. Esav has that. But he fails. And Rivka sees that he fails. Rivka sees that he's using his power for the wrong things. And if he's given money and power, it's going to only hurt him more. So she says, Yaakov, get in there. You got to go take the blessings of Esav. And he's like, but Mom, I'm not. I'm the learner. And what she's basically telling her son Yaakov to do at that moment is to change paths. She was saying, not just go take the blessings of Esav, but from now on you must become Esav. You must fill that role. You are a Yaakov, and I want you to now also be that outgoing person, the one that's going to go out there and get involved and mekarev people and do outreach and convince and be like Avraham and Yitzchak in one. And we know that ends up what ends up being happening. Yaakov ends up being that perfect balance. We know that in Kabbalah terms, Avraham is chesed, right side. Yitzchak is din, left side. And Yaakov is tiferet, beauty. A combination of both. Yaakov's the middle. Yaakov has traits of Avraham and he has traits of Yitzchak. He begins his life as a Yitzchak, as a learner. So Yoshevo Halim. But from this moment on, when he walks into the tent, he also becomes and he incorporates into himself the traits of Esav. When he puts on the coat of Esav, he becomes Esav from this moment on. He takes on all of the responsibilities of Esav. And when he walks into his father's tent, and Yitzchak says, who is that? He says, Anochi Esav Bechorecha. He wasn't lying. He was saying, from this moment on, I accept, Father, to do the work that you want me to do out there in the world. To be the one who's not just going to hide in his little office and be religious, but I'm going to make sure to spread the beliefs of Judaism and the values of the Torah out there. And Yitzchak sees he has this complete person in front of him. When he says, Hakol kol Yaakov v'hayadayim yedei Esav, that wasn't a problem. That was a solution. That was a sigh of relief. That was Yitzchak saying, holy cow, we have this perfect human being in front of us that has both the qualities of Yaakov and Esav in one. The voice of Yaakov and the hands of Esav. That's something that hasn't been seen before. We've had an Avraham, we've had a Yitzchak, we hadn't had a Yaakov yet. We haven't had a complete person. And now he says, whoever this person is deserves it, because he took on the role of Esav. And look what happens, Yaakov at this moment on. He changes. We don't see Yaakov anymore as a Yoshevo Halim. We see him as this guy who has to outsmart his brother taking the blessings. He has to go and handle with Lavan, a sneaky man. He fights with the angel of Esav. And yes, that is why he has two names, because he has two functions. He takes on two roles. And take a look. Originally, he was supposed to marry Rachel, and Esav's supposed to marry Leah. Everyone knew that Lavan had 2 daughters, Rivka had 2 sons. The older for the older, the younger for the younger. Esav for Leah, Yaakov for Rachel. Everyone knew that. But what happens at this moment is that Esav fails in being one of the avot. It was supposed to be 4 avot, 4 imahot, but Esav drops. But it's not fair that Leah should drop. Leah is still one of the imahot. So you know what Yaakov has to now do? Yaakov now has to go and marry both his wife and Esav's wife. He marries Rachel, but he also has to marry Leah. He has to accept upon himself the responsibilities and everything that comes with it. That includes the wife. So he goes out and he marries Rachel and he marries Leah. And there's an amazing midrash, a scary midrash, in this week's parasha. Take a look. Yaakov works for 7 years for Rachel. After 7 years, he marches down the aisle, and instead of Rachel, he wakes up in the morning and he sees it's not Rachel, but it's her sister Leah. And Yaakov is fuming. He's angry at Lavan. How could he trick me? But you know who else he's angry at? Who else is he angry at? He's angry at Leah. How could you do this to me? You! And he says to her, you sly, sneaky trickster, like father, like daughter. I knew Lavan was a trickster. I didn't know his daughter was a trickster. And let me share with you what the Midrash says, something that only the Midrash can say. Leah says back to Yaakov, I learned from you. Didn't you trick your father and tell him you're Esav? Definitely not good for Shalom Bayit. You know what I'm saying? What in the world was Leah thinking? Are you out of your mind? You know, next week on Dr. Phil. What, are you crazy? You think now Yaakov's gonna love you more for that comment? Boom! Yeah? I tricked? You tricked! I always thought this midrash was Leah being chutzpah, a negative way. Maybe. But maybe she's also saying to her husband, maybe she's saying something not disrespectful at all. Maybe she's saying, listen, you tricked your father and you took Esav's role. Once you do that, it's only fair that you also take his wife. If you want to be Esav, then you must marry me. Because I was supposed to marry Esav. That's what she's saying to him. Unbelievable. And by the way, we now understand why, when he's done and he's going to get married, Vayetze Yaakov, where does he go? He doesn't go straight to Haran. You know where he goes? Our rabbis tell us, do the math, you'll see 14 years missing right here. Because he went for 14 years to go study Torah in Bet Midrash of Shem Ve'ever. Why are you going to study Torah for? You learned Torah for 60 years of your life. Is that enough? You need 14 more years? 14 more, what's it going to do for you? You learned enough. You have enough Torah. Go and get married, man. You're old. You're 60 something. How much longer are you going to wait? But you know what the answer is? Yaakov here had to go learn a Torah that he wasn't exposed to yet. Yaakov is learning the Torah of Kohanim, of rabbis, but there's a whole nother layer of Torah called the Torah of Esav. The Torah of being a businessman. The Torah of how to deal with the world. And you see this a lot of times. Many times, persons in Kollel, persons learning, and they're one type. And all of a sudden, they have to start going out there and working. And they're exposed to a world that they never even dreamt of. And they're very challenged. How to deal with opposite gender, and how to deal with tests. And a lot of times, unfortunately, they don't know what to do and they end up crumbling. This is also an important Torah, how to learn. And this is what he needed to learn. 14 years just to learn how to be Esav. The right way, the kosher Esav. That's why he goes to study in yeshiva. He never had that. His whole life he's preparing to be Yaakov. Now he needs to also prepare to be Esav. And yes, that's why he has 2 names, Yaakov and Israel. Avraham is chesed, Yitzchak is din, Yaakov is middle, he's both. And so maybe, just going back to the opening words of our parasha, Vayetze Yaakov min Be'er Shava. You know what that could also mean? Not that just that he left a geographical place of Be'er Shava, but this, at Yaakov, at this point of his life, he now leaves who he once was. He's very comfortable being this one type of person, and now he's got to leave and learn to put that whole world behind him and incorporate this entire other being into himself. And now he's got to go and figure out how to be also Yadayim Yadei Esav with the Torah's perspective. So I think, these are so many amazing ideas. It really answers a lot of questions on the Perashah, a lot of more questions that we didn't ask, but, I think these ideas really shed some light. And the lesson is that in life, we always need partners. We always need that other perspective. We cannot do it alone, whether it's a husband and a wife or people in business, figuring out who's going to be my zevulun. Im en kemach en Torah, im en Torah en kemach. We need flour and we need Torah. You need both. Without one, you don't have the other. Without the other, you don't have the first. In life, we need that beautiful partnership that's going to allow us to succeed. Finding who's going to be that zevulun in my life, that Yisachar in my life. If we're very out there, we need someone that's going to be grounded. If we're very grounded, we need someone that's going to be very out there. If we're very booked, we need the ideas. If we're ideas, we need the, right? Figuring out. And that's where businesses thrive and succeed. That's where relationships succeed. Realizing who is in my life that I need. What's the partners that I need? Who am I? What's my type? And what's the type that I need to be able to balance me out and to create that beautiful synthesis of Yaakov and Esav in one? Okay, we'll stop over here, everybody. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you all tomorrow. Shavua Tov. If you're going to be in New York, maybe go take a look at the marathon today. If you're running in the marathon, good luck. I don't know what you're doing on this chat if you're running in the marathon. But either way, have a wonderful day, everybody. We'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.